All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the inaugural episode of Inside the Box when it comes to USL League One. Just to give a little backstory. So, Inside the Box previously was focused on Premier League soccer or football. We're refocusing on USL League One. You can see by my hat here that I am a Union Omaha supporter, Viva Bujos. And we're going to kind of spend this time recapping the previous week in USL League One, look at the upcoming games for USL League One. We're getting close to, it's October. We're getting close to playoff time for USL League One. So I think all but one spots are locked up for those playoff spots coming up in November. And we'll just walk through the week, things like that. So we'll go ahead and jump in. This is just kind of me going through my thoughts on USL League One soccer. So if we look at previous weeks, all right. So if we look at the previous week for USL League One, you can see some pretty big outcomes here. Portland Hearts of Pine versus Westchester 2-2 on Saturday, October 18th. FC Naples took on Spokane Velocity. Spokane 1-0 over Naples. Union Omaha won 4-0 over Forward Madison. Battle of the Birds. Union Omaha moved up to fourth place with that win. We're going to kind of talk through Union Omaha. That's going to be a big focus, being from the area. South Georgia Tormenta 4-1 over Greenville Triumph. 1 Knoxville, 2-1 over Texoma. 1 Knoxville actually slid into the top spot with this win. So they're number 1 going into playoffs right now. And then yesterday, we had a game. Portland Hearts of Pine took on Spokane Velocity 6-1. It looks like Spokane is struggling near the end of the season, but they're still up in that clinch playoff spot. So they're in for sure. And we'll see how it goes going forward. The remaining games coming up on Saturday, October 25th, the Hearts of Pine is going to take on Alta FC, Richmond Kickers against Forward Madison FC, Union Omaha, Spokane Velocity. It's a big game at home for Union Omaha. FC Naples taking on Charlotte Independence, South Georgia Tormenta taking on Texoma, Chattanooga Red Wolves taking on Westchester, and then 1 Knoxville taking on Greenville Triumph. So that's going to round out the regular season for USL League One. And like I mentioned, if you jump over to the standings here, there's really one spot remaining. It's Charlotte Independence, who, if you go back, they're taking on FC Naples on Saturday. And Alta FC looks like they have a chance to slide in, as well as Forward Madison are the 2 teams remaining that could slide into that 8th and final spot for playoffs. Charlotte Independence is, like I said, taking on FC Naples, Alta FC against Portland Hearts of Pine, which Portland Hearts of Pine have locked it up. So we'll see what lineup they come in against Alta FC. And then Forward Madison, who Union Omaha beat last Saturday, is actually taking on the Richmond Kickers. And they have a chance with a win to possibly slide in some of those scenarios. So points right now, Charlotte Independence sitting at 37, Alta FC's at 35, and Forward Madison's at 35. So Alta FC and Madison both need a win to have a chance to slide in, and they need Charlotte Independence to lose. Those are the only scenarios for either Alta FC or Madison FC to get in. So if Charlotte Independence loses or they tie, it looks like they could be in. If Alta FC or Forward Madison tie or lose their upcoming games, they're eliminated from playoffs. So the only other scenario would be if all teams end with 38 points, it looks like. So I take that back. Charlotte Independence with a tie, and then Alta FC and Madison FC, if they win, all 3 of those teams would be at 38 points. And then it would either come down to, I believe the tiebreakers wins. So Charlotte Independence gets in if everyone's tied at 38, because they have 10 wins on the season, and Alta FC and Forward Madison only have 8. So even if they win their games, they would be at 9. Charlotte Independence then gets in. But let's say Charlotte Independence loses, Alta FC wins, and Madison wins. Then you have Madison and Alta tied at 38 points apiece with 8 or they would be tied at 9 wins at that point, and then it would come down to goal differential, which Forward Madison is at a -8 and Alta FC is at a -5. So Forward Madison seemingly needs a big win against the Richmond Kickers to have a chance in. They need to win, and they need to win by a lot of goals to kind of swing towards their favor, and or Charlotte Independence, Alta FC both lose, Forward Madison wins. Forward Madison doesn't have to worry about it. They're in automatically. So there's a couple scenarios there that could go in, and you could see Forward Madison or Alta FC jump into that final and 8th spot. But Charlotte Independence right now is in the driver's seat. Win, and you're in. And they're taking on the Portland Hearts of Pine, who, like I said, they have locked up a spot in the playoffs. We'll see what type of lineup they put out for that game, but that's kind of where the standings sit at today. And then we jump into the playoffs. Depending on what these playoffs look like, Union Omaha lost a lot of key players from last year, lost their coach a third of the way into the season, had a ton of away games to start out, and they seem to have turned it on towards the end of the season and went from seemingly the bottom of the standings up to number 4 right now as it sits. And they will probably end at 4. They don't have a chance to jump up to 3 above Spokane Velocity. They're down by 5 points total. So even if they win that game, it would only get them to 48 points. But, they could slip down to, looks like the lowest they could go to is back down to number 7 possibly. But Union Omaha solid in at 4 right now, in the driver's seat at that 4. And we'll see what happens there. If they end up near that top of the league, they could have a home game going into the playoffs, which would be big. And they'd go on their championship defending run, continue it through the 2025 season and see what happens. We've got a chance. Huge turnaround for Union Omaha. We've had outstanding performances from Charlie Ostrom all year, who's leading the league in assists this year. Rashid Nuhu, solid in goal. Not as solid as in years past, but he's a stalwart in the goal. And Cole Jensen, the backup goalkeeper for Union Omaha, has done great when Rashid Nuhu hasn't been in the starting lineup. So great job by Rashid Nuhu. He's number 5 on clean sheets with 7 this year, which is great. So Rashid Nuhu, veteran in goal. Wouldn't want anyone else in there this year. Love Rashid Nuhu, looking good this year. Over on the goal side of that Golden Boot race, Westchester is leading this. Juan Carlos Obregon Jr. is actually in the lead with 17. And then in second place, it's Niall Reed-Steven from Georgia Tormenta with 13. So he's got a pretty significant lead. And then Sergio Ors from Union Omaha is coming in at 6th with 10. And then you jump all the way down to Ryan Becker, who's having a great year. He's got 7 goals on the season. And Mark Bronick, of course, I don't want to not talk about him because he's had a great year this year for Union Omaha. He's down at 24th in the goals standings with 6, tied for 24th. Amazing year for Mark Bronick. He's kind of fallen off these last couple games. Haven't seen him in the starting lineup as much. Could be injury related, but hopefully he'll get back in form going into the playoffs. And then, as always, we have Joe Gallardo on there, who's playing great recently as well, getting a little more time off the bench off of his injury. And like I talked about, leading assist leader Charlie Ostrom with 10 in USL League One has been playing great. Isidro Martinez for Union Omaha is at 5, and he's down at 9th on the list. And then you go down to Ryan Becker, who had tied for 24th with 3 assists. So good year with assists. Charlie Ostrom still leading the way. Charlie's solid. Charlie started at, I believe it was left back last game, which it was a unique formation put out by Union Omaha. Worked well. You had Charlie on one wing back, and then you had Akoff on the other wing back. And they seem to work well together. Great defense. I think they gave up just 1 goal, which is fantastic coming out of that game last week where they, had a shutout 4-0 over Forward Madison, who's always a tough opponent for Union Omaha. So that's kind of where some of those assists are at in recap of last week. And then chances created on the season. Of course, you would expect this. Charlie Ostrom's up at 3 with 52. He's doing great. Looking good. Charlie Ostrom, I'm guessing you'll see him in the starting lineup on Saturday when we take on Spokane Velocity. It's going to be a big game against Spokane Velocity, and I'll get into that here later. Max Schneider, midfielder for Union Omaha. He's leading the league in yellow cards. This was actually surprising. He started out I didn't expect him to be up there, but he has shown that his tenacity continues to accumulate those yellow cards game to game. So he's first in yellow cards in the league this year, Max Schneider, but he's been a solid midfield replacement for the loss that we lost from key players, moved on to another team. Max Schneider stepped in. He's been a great addition to the team. Stepped in well. Glad to have him on the team. Made Union Omaha a tougher team in the back. And then the one thing you get yellow cards with Max Schneider, but what he also gives you is great passes. He's distributing the ball very well this year. He's fourth as far as total passes in the league with 1,538. He's number one in the amount of passes that Union Omaha has, so he's always on the ball. Pedro Dolabello, like I talked about, he stepped into that position that Pedro Dolabello left absent with his move on to USL Championship League with San Antonio, and has done great. Max Schneider has looked really good as someone stepping in this year. He's kind of come into his own. He was one of those new players that struggled early on. I think our team, one of the reasons our team struggled early on was our midfielders were basically brand new, and a lot of learning had to happen. But they've come together. They've molded into a great team. They got us back up to fourth. Again, we went through a coaching change in the middle of that as well. And Max Schneider's kind of come into his own. I'm glad to have him on the team, period. And then crosses, as you would expect, Charlie Ostrom has the most with 206. That's why he's one of the reasons he's leading in assists. But one name I do want to mention and throw a shout out to is Dion Akoff with 106 and 10th for crosses. So Dion Akoff, every time he starts, you see him going down that right wing, that right side, and getting in a cross. Every game, he's prolific at getting those crosses in from that wing back position. And I think Charlie Ostrom on the other side is hoping to see the same thing from him with that formation that they had last week, where the coach had them, both of them back in defensive wing back positions, streaking down the sides and then throwing in crosses for our attackers to finish. So again, you got Ostrom at third, Akoff at 10th for crosses. That's great. That's chances in the box. That's what you want to see. So. And then going in to team comparisons here. So team rankings. This is something interesting to work at. We're going to focus on Spokane and Union Omaha here with this one. So you can see the 2025 team statistics. Union Omaha with goals, we're up at second with 49. Spokane Velocity is down at 39. So Spokane Velocity, these are a tale of two clubs going in different directions. Union Omaha started off the 2025 season slowly. I would say slow is a nice term for how they were playing early on. They definitely had a lot of road games. It was non-conducive schedule for Union Omaha early on, but they have come back, like I've said many times now, towards the end of the year and put on an amazing display over the last couple of weeks and got themselves back up to fourth, clinched a playoff spot, put themselves back in title defense position going into the playoffs, which is great. That's what you want to see. Whereas Spokane Velocity was a team that started off the season hot. They remained at number one for a very, very long time, but you've seen them slip ever so slightly off that early season performances that they had. They're down to third now, 14 wins, 7 losses, and 8 draws. Over the last 5 games, they have 2 losses, 1 draw, and 2 wins. So not terrible, but not what you want to see with them early on. They hung on to that number one spot basically through the entire season until the end here, where one Knoxville jumped them and Chattanooga's up there as well. But Spokane's kind of been showing out of form recently compared to what they were previously. So we'll see how this game comes in, what kind of lineup they have. I expect it to be a very defensive-minded game Neither of these teams are really going to go out there and try to attack all that much. Both teams are in the playoffs for sure. There's not much chance for either of them to really move up or down in the standings with a win. So I think that you'll see them get maybe some bench players that don't get a lot of times come into this game, get some rest for the other starters, probably see like a 1-0, 0-0 game on Saturday, which isn't the most exciting, but I think as long as Union Omaha goes in and has a good showing, fans can be proud of what they've done this year and then go into the playoffs and see what happens from there. So goals on the year, those there. We can look at shots real quick. Union Omaha's at the top with 432. So they definitely are quantity-based shots. And you can understand why goals, they're up at second then. And then Spokane's down at 11th with 330. I think that actually has fallen off from where they are at. If you look at conversion rate, actually, Spokane velocity is actually above Union Omaha by a percentage, 16-15, which if you look at the number of shots, that's quite a bit. It's absolutely, you will see that when you go to a Union Omaha game. They take a lot of shots. A lot of them are not on target, but they're also getting some on target with the amount of shots that they get on, and you can see they're second with 49. So no complaints there. You want to see an attacking-based team. I wouldn't change anything about Union Omaha's strategy. They're going in great. Our coach has stepped in after our previous coach left and has done an amazing job. Goalkeeping, clean sheets. You could see Union Omaha sitting right there at fourth, Spokane Velocity at third. It's going to be a defensive game come Saturday. We'll see how everyone performs. Goals conceded, Spokane Velocity near the bottom, of course, with 30, and Union Omaha near the bottom with 37. So both teams, as you'd expect, based on the clean sheets being at the top, they're near the bottom of goals conceded. Spokane Velocity, of course, conceded less. Great defense by Spokane Velocity, and I expect to see that on Saturday as well. This passing one, this is big for Union Omaha. Like I talked about, we lost a lot of midfielders last year with Pedro Dolabello specifically. I keep talking about him, but he was a big part of that offense that signed to the USL Champions League with San Antonio, and Max Schneider stepped in his absence. New player, new team. Took him a while to get comfortable with our system, with the players around him, but he's kind of leading the way with these passes. But we're up in second at 12,780. It is worth pointing out that Alta FC, I mean, they're of heads and toes above every other team in USL League One with passes with 14,809. That is a new team this year. They were an expansion team from in 2025. And they've come in and they've done a really good job, had a good showing. They're not in the playoffs right now. We talked about the scenarios early on that could get them into the playoffs, but as of now, they're out of it. But you can see those passes that they have compared to the other teams in USL League One. And then Spokane Velocity, they're down here at sixth with 11,505. And yes, we get a lot of passes at Union Omaha, but let's go look at that accuracy. You can see Union Omaha is tied for fifth, and Spokane Velocity is up at fourth. So kind of the same thing with the goals, where we had more than Spokane Velocity, but the conversion rate was lower. Our passes, we have more than Spokane Velocity, but the accuracy is higher for Spokane. So a little bit more quality out of Spokane than Union Omaha with passes and shots. But, we're getting up there. We're getting shots taken. We're getting passes made. And the accuracy have gone on. As the games have gone on for Union Omaha, we've seen that. So these have been going up for Union Omaha, which is a positive. It's a positive trend that you want to see. Fouls conceded, Union Omaha's third. Spokane Velocity is at the bottom. So that's interesting that Union Omaha and Spokane Velocity are on two different spectrums of the fouls conceded. We'll see how it goes. Again, I expect this game on Saturday to be completely defensive, low scoring. Yellow cards. Union Omaha and Spokane Velocity are both near the bottom for yellow cards, and then red cards. Union Omaha and Spokane are actually tied with 2 on the year. So that's interesting. I did pull in for a team comparison. It's going to probably show what we've already kind of noted, but 29 games played for Union Omaha, 28 for Spokane. We have 49 goals on the year, Spokane 39. Shots on target, 136, which equates to a 41.9% accuracy. Shots on target for Spokane, 104 with 42.6. Conversion rate, you can see that. We looked at it already. Assists, Union Omaha is a little bit higher. If you go to their defenses, you can see we already looked through some of these. They have more clean sheets. Tackles won 274 to 260. So we've actually won a couple more tackles. That's a big tackle success rate for both teams. So again, speaking to the defensive side of the game here, that's what I expect on Saturday. Duels won. Union Omaha and Spokane both on the higher end of those dual success rate as well. Distributions, I expect the crosses to keep coming in from Charlie and Akoff. If they're both starting, I expect to see probably a similar formation to what we saw last week against Forward Madison. But it'll be interesting to see what we put on the field for Union Omaha for the starting lineup. And then you can look through the fouls conceded. We've already talked through those. But the one thing that I did want to point to here with these games coming up, Union Omaha against Velocity, like I talked about, both have locked up a playoff spot. Union Omaha has been on an upward trend as of late, whereas Spokane Velocity has kind of floundered a little bit towards the end of the season. Spokane, my guess is they put in their starters. They want to be have a positive game going into the playoffs. For Union Omaha, I'm not sure what we'll see on the field, if we'll see our starters, if we want to continue this hot streak, or if we're looking to get guys some rest. Hopefully on future podcasts, we'll get some guests on that we can ask these questions to and see what type of what the thought is going into these games. But this is a big game. It's in Warner Park here in Papillion, Nebraska. A home game for Union Omaha to close out the season. Appreciate everyone's time today. This is Inside the Box. I'm Jordan, and we will see you next week when we get a chance to look at the playoff brackets and review Union Omaha's chances going into their title defense year of 2025. Again, thank you for everyone for joining me. For those who watched or who watch, leave a comments on anything you'd like to see going forward for sure. This is my first one. I'm going to do a couple more. And again, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Have a good day. And as always, Viva Bujos.